I'm obsessed with Vanity Fair posting evidence that hate ages you and that no amount of gender affirming care helps if you're inherently a bad person. Did you call it gender affirming care? Y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel, and don't forget to like the video. My name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Now, when we were last here with Susie Wiles turning state's evidence on the administration, what was your takeaway from that?
When I thought there's nothing that could make me smile, Vanity Fair goes and does this. Jump scare warning. Morning they posted this diabolical crop of Satan's mouthpiece. But before I realized it was her, I was like, which elderly actress is this doing actors on actors, and why are they cropping her so closely? Then I went to the next image and I was like, oh my god, Josephine Goebbels. You learned nothing from my critique? This image is telling me is that we have a lot of people that are silently a part of the resistance. Starting with this photographer, the person who edited this crop. We obviously know her injector is a part of the resistance because this is give Edward Scissorhands, we're an NP. Karoline, I know you're watching. Fire your makeup artist. You should be aware of your injection marks and not use a shade that enhances it unless they hate you. I do think it's really beautiful that they captured her orange nosing instead of brown nosing. Chef's kiss. There's gonna be some people being like, well, how about you post a photo of yourself that's that close up and that high def? You have it. This is an unretouched picture of me from a photographer. And I'm literally 40. So this is 28. The whole article is actually pretty interesting, but my takeaway of this is if you're evil, you will age like milk.
I didn't even say nothing about the pictures. That was really what you got. What you get?
Who do we see there? Our superstar today, Karoline. Stand up, Karoline. Isn't she great? Is Karoline great? You know, when she goes on television, Fox, they dominate. They dominate when she gets up there with that beautiful face and those lips that don't stop, up, like a little machine gun.
That's really one of the collective takeaways. What about you?
Vanity Fair. Vanity Fair. I don't know what Karoline pisses a lot of people off, but I don't know what she did to piss you, but babe, I'm not one of those millennials that's like, oh, I look so good for my age. But I'm a solid 10 years older than her. And Karoline, she's the reason for the word witch.
Anybody else? I'm obsessed with Vanity Fair posting evidence that hate ages you and that no amount of gender affirming care helps if you're inherently a bad person. Did you call it gender affirming care? Y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much.
Pearl Clutch, Vanity Fair, you can't even make this up. Susie Wiles is like, this is a hit job. The pictures alone. Pearl Clutch.
Let me go to these pictures. Vanity Fair is a sneaky, brutal little beast, and I'm here for it. The lip injection marks on Leavitt alone are Pulitzer winning. Never mind the dejection of Rubio. I have a strong feeling this isn't what they signed up for. I don't know. It looked like JD Vance is posing for a period piece or something like that. Oh, he trying to look tough for Erica. Ooh, that is rough framing on that one. Karoline Leavitt. That is, I wouldn't. Is it a known thing? Injection site? Is that a known? I would have thought it was like some Abreva, but wow. Yep, that looks about right for Stephen Miller. Oh, wait. Where was Elon Musk? Where was Marco Rubio when they did they take this in the restroom? They took this in the restroom. Now they definitely took this one in the restroom. They ain't no question. They definitely did it. Either that or after she read the article, because it was actually even worse than I covered in part 1. When we spoke again in April, in cities across the country, masked ICE agents were snatching people up off the street, throwing them in vans, and zip tying and frog marching them into makeshift deportation camps. Many were U.S. citizens or entitled to be here. ProPublica documented 170 cases in the first 9 months of 2025 of U.S. citizens being caught up in ICE dragnet. If somebody's a known gang member who has a criminal past and you're sure and you can demonstrate it, it's probably fine to send them to El Salvador or whatever. But there's a question. I think our process has to lean towards a double check. Not long after the El Salvador deportation fiasco in Louisiana, ICE agents arrested and deported 2 mothers along with their children, ages 7, 4, and 2, to Honduras. The children were U.S. citizens, and the 4-year-old was being treated for stage 4 cancer. Wiles couldn't explain it. Of course not. It could be an overzealous Border Patrol agent. I don't know, she said of the case in which both mothers had reportedly been arrested after voluntarily attending routine immigration meetings. I can't understand how you make that mistake, but somebody did. Oh, that's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. We are human after all. All you have to do then is clean up the overzealous Border Patrol agents and create an avenue to rectify those mistakes. Y'all didn't do that, did you? No, you fight extradition and reversing you fight it every single time. And I have yet to see any Border Patrol agents have any reprimand publicly from the administration. Come again. I would also add that the very sober way that she is discussing this would be a much more sensible approach than what we hear from the president, who apparently is empowered to act irrationally with affairs as sensitive and significant as immigration. You said alcoholic's personality, right? The president declared April 2nd Liberation Day, bragging about the billions of dollars that would flow into U.S. coffers from tariffs, refusing to acknowledge that the levies were a tax on consumers. Hey, MAGA, well, y'all didn't want to believe us. Y'all didn't want to believe your own wallets. How about Trump's chief of staff?
What have I done?
You're fulfilling your destiny, Anakin.
And let's also keep in mind, if he was willing to lie to you about something so easily disproved and something so known by even the people surrounding him, what does that say about literally everything else that came out of his mouth? Wiles recruited Vance to help tap the brakes. We told Donald Trump, hey, let's not talk about tariffs today. Let's wait until we have the team in complete unity and then we'll do it. But Trump barreled ahead, announcing sweeping reciprocal tariffs from 10 to 100%, which triggered panic in the bond market and a sell-off of stocks. Trump paused his policy for 90 days, but by that time, the president's helter-skelter levies had given rise to the taco chant, Trump always chickens out. Wiles believed a middle ground on tariffs would ultimately succeed, but it's been more painful than I expected. Just to clarify, now washing her hands of the tariffs, and we have yet another example of that alcoholic personality. Y'all tried to talk him out of it? Did anybody tackle him? Did y'all try and throw water on his face? Not far from where we sat was a gaping hole where the East Wing had been until just a few days before. I asked her about the fierce criticism that followed its demolition to make way for Trump's 90,000 square foot ballroom. Were you surprised by it? No, Wiles replied, and no, and I think you'll have to judge it by its totality because you only know a little bit of what he's planning. Was she saying that Trump was planning more as yet undisclosed renovations? I'm not telling. You don't know. You don't have any idea what he's planning. You know why? You know why? Because he don't even have any idea what he's planning. Trump has claimed without evidence that Bill Clinton visited Epstein's infamous private island supposedly 28 times. There's no evidence those visits happen, according to Wiles. As for whether there was anything incriminating about Clinton in the files, the president was wrong about that. Susie Wiles called it a hit job on her? A hit job on her? Is that what she...
But Karoline Leavitt took it a step further, calling your reporting disingenuous and that words were taken out of context, basically saying you were not doing your job correctly. Can you prove otherwise? And have you heard from the White House, from anybody in this White House directly?
Well, you know, Mika, here's a rule of thumb for young journalists. When your subject starts talking about context and being disingenuous and framing, you know you've done something right. The reason they're not talking about the substance of the piece or any of the quotations in the piece is because they know full well that every word is on tape.
Tell Bill Clinton he good. You good. Susie Wiles said you not. Put your shirt back on. The people really appreciated what a big deal this is are Cash and Dan Bongino because they lived in that world. And the vice president, who's been a conspiracy theorist for a decade, for years, Cash has been saying, got to release the files, got to release the files. And he's been saying that with a view of what he thought was in these files that turns out not to be right. Wiles said that neither she nor Trump had been consulted about Ghislaine Maxwell's transfer to a less restrictive facility after Todd Blanche's visit. The president was ticked. The president was mighty unhappy. I don't know why they moved her, neither does the president. But she said, if that's an important point, I can find out. Now, wait a minute. What you mean to tell me is that the witness in the case that he has been tied up with, that is maybe the single biggest anvil around this entire last half of 2025 and his presidency, he was completely ignorant and unaware of her being transferred to a less restrictive facility and a visit facilitated by Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi. But he just acts unilaterally with regards to, I don't know, tariffs. Is that what you're going with? I asked Wiles about the remarkable 180-degree conversion from Secretary of State and the Vice President from fierce Trump critics to high-ranking acolytes and heirs apparent. Trump had floated a Vance Rubio GOP presidential ticket in 2028. Rubio's transformation was ideological and principled, she said. Marco was not the sort of person that would violate his principles. He just won't. And so he had to get there. By contrast, she suggested Vance had other motivations. His conversion came when he was running for the Senate. And I think his conversion was a little bit more sort of political. During another visit to the White House on November 13th, when I asked Vance about his conversion to Trump loyalists, he said, I realized that I actually liked him. I thought he was doing a lot of good things, and I thought he was fundamentally the right person to save this country. Well, Susie Wiles called BS. She called BS. I couldn't imagine a circumstance where both of them would be mad. Rubio, like, you said what? I had to get there ideologically. You see how uncomfortable I look every time I'm behind Trump and he talking, right? Matter of fact, the picture that Vanity Fair used, that's the face. That's the face of me behind Trump when he talking. You think that's the look of somebody who got there ideologically?
A low IQ person. They have AOC's low IQ. You give her an IQ test, have her pass.
And JD Vance, she called you a whole fraud. Just like Erica Kirk did. And Usha's about to.
Before you feel bad about what's going to happen to Usha, I want to tell you a few things. She's a child of immigrants who has not only stayed completely silent while masked secret police kidnaps people of color, she has willingly become a public face of a vanilla supremacy political regime. She is a lawyer who chose to work as a law clerk for Justices Roberts and Kavanaugh. Roberts has been obsessed his entire career with destroying the Voters' Rights Act, an act that protected people of color from race-based discrimination. And Kavanaugh is an unqualified moron who has multiple very serious essay allegations. And now Usha finds herself in a big oopsie because Couchboy is being primed to take over a cult that absolutely will not accept a president with a brown wife and brown kids. In fact, Fuentes, the leader of the Groypers, a very far alt-right group, a group that is scrambling to take over what's left of Charlie Kay's Turning Point audience, which, by the way, they are definitely going to be successful at, because there is no way that weird Erica lady is going to retain any of that audience. P.S. Erica, you're supposed to be barefoot and silent in a kitchen. Why are you out here speaking all the time? Are you confused? But back to Fuentes. He said that he would rather vote for Gavin because he has a beautiful white blonde wife and beautiful blonde white kids. So before you waste any precious empathy on Usha, you should instead be very glad that she is about to learn the very valuable and character-building lesson that all tokens who align themselves with vanilla supremacy learn, and that is that they get spent first.
In December, when asked about Trump falling asleep in cabinet meetings, Wiles said he's not asleep. Let me guess, he's praying. He's praying. That's what Lauren Boebert said. He's got his eyes closed and his head leaned back, and you know, he's fine. Is he breathing softly in and out? Dreaming about bronzer and McDonald's? That's sleep. What about Trump's increasingly frequent verbal attacks on women, as when in November he snapped "Quiet Piggy" at a female reporter from Bloomberg? Wiles replied he's a counterpuncher, and increasingly in our society, the punchers are women. Send that to Megyn Kelly. Yeah, I want her to go ahead and put a bow on it. No, I just want her, because she gonna defend it. She gonna defend it. So I just want her to just think, I want to tie that one to her as well. So, yeah. Back in March, on the 56th day of Trump's presidency, I'd ask Wiles, do you ever go into Trump and say, look, this is not supposed to be a retribution tour? Yes, I do. We have a loose agreement. The score settling will end before the first 90 days are over. In late August, I asked Wiles, remember when you said to me months ago that Trump promised to end the revenge and retribution tour after 90 days? I don't think he's on a retribution tour, she said. A governing principle for him is, I don't want what happened to me to happen to someone else. And so people that have done bad things need to get out of the government. In some cases, it may look like retribution, and there may be an element of that from time to time. Who would blame him? Not me. Okay, so let's first start with the fact that we're openly ceding that there was 90 days that was just granted to him for a retribution tour. Let's not brush past that fact that you granted him 90 days for a retribution tour, which, let's go ahead and kneecap all of the principles that you were given during that time for why you were moving the way that you're moving. Because now Trump, she said retribution tour. She just came out and said it. Now all of a sudden she tries to clean it up after the fact. But you already gave us the 90 days of the retribution tour, so, you know, her inability to talk you out of the retribution tour seems to be the A to B on that one. You said too much. So all of this talk I said about accusing Letitia James of mortgage fraud, well, that might be one retribution, she replied. They always give you the evidence, don't they? Don't they always give you, they are a cooperative counter counsel, aren't they? Do you really think that Merrick Garland went after the president, persecuted him? I'd asked her in March, referring to Biden's buttoned up by the book attorney general. I do, she replied, and I think history will prove it to be so. Merrick Garland. So you signed the entire country up for another cycle of MAGA because of your unwillingness to do your duty and bury Trump with the evidence that he gave you to do so. You signed America up for another round of MAGA only for them to frame it as you went after him and history will prove it to be so. Congratulations.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Now, there was a lot of conversation about the midterms, and she was very hopeful about the midterms because, as she said, they're putting Trump on the ballot.
Typically, just a little bit of campaign speak, if I may.
Yeah.
Typically, in the midterms, it's not about who's sitting at the White House. It's you localize the election, right, and you keep the federal officials out of it. We're actually going to turn that on its head.
Good.
And put him on the ballot because so many of those low propensity voters are Trump voters. So I haven't quite broken it to him yet, but he's going to campaign like it's 2024 again. Oh. For all these people that he helps. He doesn't help everybody, but for those he does, he's a difference maker. And he's certainly a turnout machine. So the midterms will be very important to us. Yeah. He'll work very hard to keep the majority.
Yeah, we can't afford to have this stalled.
This is a good Senate year for Republicans. Every 2 years is what it is for House members. So there's candidate recruitment. The president started raising money for the midterms the day after the election. Good. And he's sitting on a huge war chest to help these people. And he'll use it. And he'll use himself, and he'll use his money that he's raised, probably his money too, and nobody can outwork him. So there's every reason to be confident, but we have to actually get it done.
Oh, please do. Oh, please do. I can't. This is just a gift that keeps on giving. I would love nothing. I would love nothing more than that. What's that approval rating? Matter of fact, I think the photo of Marco Rubio is him looking at Trump's approval rating. Either that or your photo, Susie Wiles, is you looking at Trump's approval rating. So by all means, put him on the ballot. Now, the interesting thing about you, though, because people don't talk about you very much, you don't speak to the media very much, people don't really have a solid understanding of exactly what it is you do, or dare I say, can do.
By the way, Susie Wiles, most powerful woman anywhere in the world, most powerful woman in the world. She can take out a country, take out a country with one phone call. That's power.
So let me get this right. A woman that has that much power can take out an entire country without a phone call, yet she's never been elected by anybody. We, the people, didn't vote for Susie Wiles. We, the people, didn't vote to give Susie Wiles any power, yet she has so much power. What does that mean? She has so much control over the Trump administration that if Susie makes a phone call, everybody's going to drop everything because she controls the Epstein list or has whatever fucking blackmail it is that they're using to blackmail all these scumbag politicians in Washington, D.C. that they'll really stab you, the American people, in the back to benefit Israel or whatever foreign country because Susie Wiles has that much power. Check out this clip from Redacted.
Well, our next guest says Susie Wiles might be the most destructive force inside the Trump administration, gatekeeping, preventing MAGA from becoming America first, from actually carrying out the mission of making America great again. And is the Bush administration, the old Bush administration acolytes, still running things, but inside the Trump administration like a Trojan horse?
Back in 2018, we went up with a story all about how, if everyone remembers, Zinke and Pruitt had a heck of a time at Department of Interior and EPA. As soon as the Trump administration started, you know well that the liberal press, their goal every day when they wake up, Clayton, and you're an insider, you know how this works. They set their own narratives. Their goal every day was basically the headline that reads, "Chaos in the Trump administration." And they set to work writing those headlines every day, didn't they? And a big part of that was with EPA and with Interior. And there were leakers inside of the administration. And so we broke a story about how Karoline Wiles, daughter to Susie Wiles, was the big leaker, helping to create a bunch of the chaos in those two particular agencies. And eventually I got a phone call from Susie Wiles, and she asked me to take it off of the internet. And I did. And I didn't, I'm an amateur horse trader, Clayton. I'm not very good at this, I suppose. I didn't get anything in return.
Wait a minute. Did that say the daughter and she called to get it removed? Susie Wiles should have been getting a lot more attention than she has been, apparently. Thank you, Vanity Fair. And thank you, Susie Wiles, for coming on down. Oh, that's Karoline Leavitt. No, she went that way. She went that. I ain't see the photographer. I ain't see the photographer, but she went that way, and she actually had a bunch of proofs in her hands about what to use. So, yep. She looked like this. She looked shocked. She looked the same way. Man, Karoline Leavitt gonna get her. And was that a needle in her hand? Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I am truly happy you're here. I would never do you like Target.
I'm so excited to show you what I got in my Target grab bag this year. I waited all night so I could get this. Okay, so the first thing I got was, they hate you.
So I made sure I pushed out those merch discount codes for the peoplesgetup.com and reesewaters.com to all the people in deep waters and troubled waters. That also goes for the people that are a part of our Patreon. Oh, that's right. We also have a Patreon. All of the benefits listed mirror those here on membership on YouTube, in addition to the weekly newsletter. Let's see what we got here. Trump's protective bubble may be popping. That's not the only thing popping. This Leto fight banquet about to be lit. I can tell you that right now. Yes! Yes! If you want to get the weekly newsletter, you can sign up for it at patreon.com/ReeseWaters. And if you want to sign up for the monthly newsletter, that's over at reesewaters.com. Now, we are in end of year award season, and I want to hear from you. So be on the lookout on the community tab, as well as my lives, for polls that will help me weed through the nomination process. And I would say 2025 has been the year of FAFO, has it not? I would say so, which makes this particularly appropriate. Hello, my FAFO shirt just arrived and I had to get some pics. Also, my daughter wanted to show off her Labubu because her MAGA mom forbids them for being demonic. So, of course, Daddy got her one. LOL. I hope you're having a great week, from my man, Jared. Now, Jared, shout out to you. I love the FAFO gear as well as the Labubu, but YouTube doesn't love showing kids. They definitely don't love showing kids. And I would also say that you said her MAGA mom. You know how litigious they be. Hey, tell your daughter I said respect. Much love. Speaking of respect and love, the last time I was here, I highlighted someone who asked me if they had to be a member to purchase merch and lamenting they wish that they could do more. Well, guess what I received immediately after that? Hi, Reese. I would like to help the 66-year-old lady who wanted merch but thought she needed to be a member. I'd like to buy her the item she wanted. Is this possible? I can be anonymous and don't need to know her address. Thank you for being a bright spot in these dark, dark days. I'm a subscriber and I watch all of your videos. Now, I won't include the name because that person did say that they could be kept anonymous. But what I will say is, just as I said the first time, that it's that kind of love that is so much more significant than any financial contribution might be, here is another example of that. And is the connectiveness and the strength of the bond in this community that has truly transformed not only my life, but but what I even thought was possible in this particular space. So I want to thank you. And I would like to offer you both the item of your choice. I'll be reaching out to both of you in the nature of paying it forward. Maybe we can start a whole pay forward chain and then everybody pays for the next. That would get messy because I'm cheap. So I can only imagine how cheap some of the people who follow me be. That's going to be a whole mess. Y'all know who you are.